All right, everybody, welcome to the Kūlani podcast. This is episode 5, and everybody's tired.
Yeah.
Not gonna lie. Not gonna lie. Everybody's tired and mentally exhausted. So what we're gonna do tonight is we're just gonna close out the storyline. We're just gonna close the loop on the story. The 2025 age group CrossFit Games is over. Kūlani's final year in competing as a CrossFit Games teenager is over as of yesterday. And of course, not the finish that we all wanted. Kūlani came in as the number 1 seed in the games this year. He ranked number 1 coming in. Kūlani finished 5th overall, did not podium. So that's obviously, everybody's bummed. everybody's bummed. Everybody's disappointed. And of course, the response is always going to be, well, he's 5th in the world, and yes, he is. And we acknowledge that. We acknowledge that he is the 5th fittest teen in the world as far as competitions that measure fitness, which is CrossFit. So yes, Kūlani is the 5th fittest teen in the entire world. And we are all very proud of him, very proud of that. But the fact still remains that we all believe that he could have won it all. We all believe that he could have won it all. So the morale in the mood is somber here in the house. And luckily there's tons of friends around.
Yeah.
Tons of friends around, so Kūlani's in pretty good spirits. Of course, disappointed and dissatisfied, and after such a high-level type of competition like this, it's gonna be days and weeks to processing. So that's kind of where we stand. A good transition would be like a question for Elijah. A good transition would simply be, man, how long did it take for you to process your result of the CrossFit Games? Because in 2022, you finished 3rd place. Of course, great effort, 3rd fittest teen in the world. But were you satisfied with that, Elijah?
Well, there's kind of a lot that you kind of just threw out there real quick. First, let's back up a little bit. I think for Kūlani, I think dissatisfied is or unsatisfied is a better word to use. I don't think disappointed or somber is the right words to describe how we're feeling at all. Actually, I think we're all pretty. I mean, obviously, Kūlani wished that he would have won, but I think morale is pretty high. I would say. I'm more just mentally exhausted from just the stress of the week that comes with being his coach along with Dave, of course. But I wouldn't say disappointed is the word that I wouldn't use the word disappointed. I would mostly just say unsatisfied. But based on Kūlani's behavior and how he's been today, he's in very high spirits.
Yeah.
Definitely better than I was in 2022 for sure. And I think that a lot of that has to do with his growth as a person, as a human, spiritually, and especially in his faith, because he knows that, 1st place, 5th place, last place, it all means the same in the grand scheme of things, right? And whether he won or not, I don't think that's not something that he would let affect him, because he knows that it's whatever happens is what's supposed to happen. Whatever happens, and that's ultimately God's plan for him. And he knows that, and he understands that very well. And he and he carries that energy with him very well. He does a very good job doing it. Not just saying it, but that's how he actually feels. So, just off of that, I would say, yeah. I mean, for me, it was a very different story. I mean, similar story. For me in 2022, very very similar situation where the year before I was 16, I was 6th place. I wasn't actually the highest ranking 16-year-old like Kūlani was. There was one other guy, his name was Rokvi from Iceland. He was the top ranked 16-year-old. He was 4th that year. 2022, a year later, we're all aged up, we're all 17. Me, Rokvi, Caleb, a few other guys are all favorites to win. I remember there being a lot of pressure. There being a lot of pressure on me to win, of course. 3 weeks, about 2 or a month and a half of games. I had a back injury, and it wasn't until 3 weeks before the game started that I was actually able to really hammer training. I remember about a month out, I was just starting to get back with an empty barbell and being able to lift an empty barbell again. So there was definitely a lot going through my head that year, mentally and emotionally. But luckily being able to compete was that in itself was a blessing. I mean, being able to compete at all, right? But of course the pressure's still there. Had the chance to win. There was multiple events where it was within reach, but I let it slip. I don't think Kūlani really had, a little bit, but there weren't workouts where I saw Kūlani like actively strategize himself outside of a winning spot. Whereas with me, I made very risky decisions on certain events. I rolled the dice in a few events to gain points, and some of the events it worked out and I won, and a few of the events it didn't.
Okay, so pause there for a second. Do you think Kūlani was the opposite? Do you think Kūlani could have rolled the dice a little bit more on a few
I
things?
think Kūlani was the complete opposite of that. Kūlani went as neutral as he could have. He was on the more conservative side. That doesn't mean he was. I don't want to say he was holding back, because he was definitely fighting for sure. It's kind of trying not to use the wrong terminology when I'm describing this. He could have definitely swung for the fences a little bit, took a little bit of a risk on certain events, particularly workouts like
the Echo Bike double.
Echo Bike. That's perfect, actually, because I know how fast he can sprint on an Echo Bike, and I know that on the first round, if he were to give himself 10 more seconds, and on the first round and the second round, I think that would have made the difference. That would have given him enough time to finish that workout in 3 intervals instead of 4 intervals.
Which would have
given him
a fighting chance at the podium.
That would have given him, dude. That would have cut down his score from 14th to 12th.
At least top 10, I think.
Because there was only 3 people that finished in the 3rd interval, right? So it would have been at least 4th.
Okay, so let's do this.
Yeah,
Hold on. Let's do this.
That would have fell on the podium.
Why don't you close out your story?
Yeah,
Why don't you close out your story? And then my main question was, how long after the games were done, like how long did it take you to process? And the reason I'm asking that, for those of y'all that are listening, is that if you noticed, Kūlani's not sitting here, right? So Kūlani's not sitting here with us right now because he's not quite ready to talk about it on a public
Yeah.
platform.
He's still processing.
Yeah, so
Right.
he's still processing.
course.
He was basically in a war. He was battling his heart out yesterday, 24 hours ago, a little more than 24 hours ago. So he's not here tonight closing out this storyline. He'll do that once we get back home and stuff. So that's why he's not here, because he's still processing. And of course, anybody that's listening will be able to understand that. So for you, Elijah, you rolled the dice on some workouts. Sometimes it paid off, sometimes it didn't. And what was the result, and how did you process?
Yeah, I mean, it was mostly detrimental on one particular event, and it was the workout was called Carrying Karen. That workout had a lot of wall balls and a lot of strongman movements, so sandbag, sled, farmer's carry. That was the biggest swing for the fences risk type of strategy that I went for. So, kind of context. At this point, I'm ranked number 1 after day 2. Going into day 3, Ty is very, very close to me. I think separated only by like a few points. The next 3 workouts was that workout I just described, Carrying Karen. The second workout of that day was the swim event, and the last workout was echo bike, burpees, and sandbag carry, or sandbag cleans, right? So I knew that on the third one I would get them. Echo bike, burpees, and sandbag cleans. I knew.
And you're talking about Ty. Yeah,
right.
Ty Jenkins.
I wasn't really worried about Caleb. He was far enough behind. Ty was close, like 5 points behind me, close. So I knew it was just gonna be. I just had to worry about him. The last event, I knew I'd beat him because it was a short workout. I'm good on short workouts. I can just hammer it out and pass him. Second event is a swim. I'm a good swimmer for CrossFitters, but Ty is a good swimmer for swimmers. That's a very different level of swimming. And no matter, I could have PR'd by a 50-yard swim, and I still wouldn't have beat him. So I knew that he was gonna beat me on that workout. But if I get second or third on that one, it'd be close. So that means I had to beat him on Carrying Karen. And Carrying Karen, like I said, wall balls, sandbag carries, sled pushes, farmer's carry. That workout was all weakness. There was not I don't think I was very good. I would consider all of those movements weaknesses at the time. And if I went conservatively, I could have probably finished with a 5th or 6th place. But if I wanted to beat Ty, I needed a top 3 score. So I went out really, really hot. And the first half of it, I was ahead of him by a few people. I went out really, really hot. It got to a point where my legs started really burning up after the wall balls, pushing the sled. And then right when I had to get back to the last sandbag carry, I was so gassed that I just couldn't pick it up. And then I got passed by everybody and I got 9th. So ended up being almost last. In the moment, I actually thought I was dead last, but Ben Crenshaw is behind me still.
Hey, Kaji, where were you? Were you in the stands?
I don't know if you're watching this one.
I was, because I was
really?
watching Caleb.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, you were there?
Yeah, I was there.
Okay.
I was with Jace. We were watching you guys.
Yeah, so I was, for the first half, I was in a good spot, and then I kind of crashed and burned. Not even kind of, I did crash and burn very, very hard. So I could have conservatively taken 5th or 6th, ended up putting myself in 9th by going out too hot, risking myself for the points, because I needed a top 3 score if I wanted to stay ahead of Ty and win. But something like that happens, and that takes me out of contention for the win. And after that point, I was like, okay, we just gotta stay on the podium. But that put a pretty big dent in the leaderboard for me. But stuff like that, stuff like that, along with dealing with my back injury going into the games. I didn't have normally when I'm competing, I have an advantage on something heavy. So when there was the max front squat, I didn't have that advantage. So there was a lot of things, a lot of different issues intertwined with that year. I think now looking back, I think it's actually a miracle that I still ended up on the podium with kind of those different things going on, with, going in a little bit unprepared with my back, fumbling an event, and still ended up being third is kind of crazy to me.
So are you actually happy being third, or?
I think looking back, I mean, it's a lot different because I just see it differently now because in the moment, obviously it's a big upset not winning, and even it's worse when you know that it was really closely within reach, just let slip in a few brief moments. And there were other events that were examples of that. I could talk about it forever.
So how long did it take you to process the situation?
Years. I mean, yeah, years. But that's how it goes. But I view it now a lot differently because third, no matter who you are in whatever competition, no matter what it is, and when, third is nothing to be upset about at all. And
Right. Neither is fifth for Kūlani.
so when when I hear about like people at the top of the sport like being upset about second place, being upset about fifth place, 10th place at the games even, right? Like that is so like it almost makes me angry because there are people who would much rather be in your shoes taking last place at the games than the person who didn't qualify, right? There's levels to it. It's a different perspective. I actually don't think you have any right to be upset with your ranking at the games if just because you made it to the games. Because there's hundreds of people who would much rather be in your shoes losing with the results that you got, and you're over here being upset about that when there's so many other people who would much rather who would gladly take that spot from you, right?
Right. So
there are hundreds of people who would gladly take your lifestyle over theirs.
So
there's no reason to be upset.
So it's been 3 years, and so look at all the wisdom that you've gained over 3 years since being at the CrossFit Games.
Oh, yeah.
So that'll definitely help you in the future. Let's bring it back to Kūlani's story. Kadri, what are some of the things you noticed last time we were episode 4 of the podcast? We broke down expectations or thoughts and theories for the next day. What did you see? What did you see in the final event with Kūlani? Let's shift gears to Kūlani's final event. And it was 2 rope climbs.
4 rounds for time, 2 rope climbs, 6 wall walks, and 4 snatches at 155.
Right.
Kūlani, up until this point, each event had kind of been like, he's still fighting, but he was kind of working with his level of fitness, like I said, and not trying to push past. And Dave came up to me before his event, and I was like, so how's he feeling? And he was like, you want to know what he said to me? And I was like, yeah. And for lack of a better term, he was like, I'm just going to go crazy on this workout.
That's really not what he said.
That's not what he said. I don't know if I should say that.
That's not what he said, but he basically, that's what he meant.
That's what he meant, yeah. He's just going to go crazy. He's going to go out hot and just
go out hot
towards
hot.
the field and see what happens.
Yeah, go out and torch the field. That's a good way to put it.
Yeah, just see what happens.
He was going to go stupid. That was his plan.
There you go. That's a better way to put it.
And he went out there and ran to the rope faster than anyone, jumped on the rope faster than anyone, got to the barbell before everyone, and stayed in the lead for a while, and then you could see on his face that he was ready to put the pressure behind him. He was ready to put his placement behind him, and he was ready to just focus on this workout. He was just ready to be. And this Kūlani in the last workout is the Kūlani that we're gonna see go into the individual division.
Yes.
Not the Kūlani
Absolutely.
on day 1, 2, and 3.
It's the version of him that has no pressure, right?
Right. And so he let that all go and performed at his best, and it was really, really cool to watch. And he officially got second on that event. We'll consider it first for those who weren't watching or didn't hear what happened on the event. He was in the lead for the entire workout, and then he gets to the last barbell, and another guy's right behind him, and he starts, and actually on round 3, he gets a no rep, an unjust no rep. Full extension. If you watch the video, it's a textbook power snatch. Like, it was perfect, and they no repped it.
It looked like the rest of his lifts.
Yeah, and then he comes back, and on the last rep, the judge miscounts his rep, either miscounts or no reps him, another unjust no rep. He does a full power snatch, full extension, he drops the bar. After he drops the bar, the judge waits about a second before saying no rep, which is ridiculous. And then the guy next to him is going faster, going touch and go, and then Kūlani goes touch and go for the final 4, when it should have been 3. And there was just that big discrepancy. But in our hearts, he won that event. The other guy also had a false start that he successfully appealed. We tried to appeal with no
Yeah, so
no
leaderboard did show first for Kūlani.
For a little bit. Due to a false start.
Yeah.
The other athlete, I don't remember his name. But in our hearts,
I think he came back and what I think he did was he came back and he appealed his false start, so he ended up going from first, second, first again, so whatever.
Kūlani won that workout.
Kūlani, rightfully, Kūlani won that workout because the 2 no reps that he took, you can go back.
They were very unjust no reps.
We can clip it and post it with the link, and then
probably share it on Instagram.
Right, when we share this podcast, but those reps were literally identical to the rest of the power snatches that he was doing the entire workout. So, rightfully, Kūlani won that workout, and I'm gonna say that Kūlani won that workout.
And then Elijah, what did you notice about Kūlani's performance? What did you notice about the new a theme I think of this weekend was for Kūlani to step into his new, let the new Kūlani emerge, right? And him stepping into his true self as a performer, as a CrossFitter and his performance. But what did you notice about his performance in the final event versus the rest of the weekend?
Well, there's a lot less pressure on him going into that workout just because it was the last event, and I think he was he kind of found his stride mentally where he's not putting so much pressure on himself, and he's not really worried about what anybody else is doing on that workout. The only thing he was thinking about what he was gonna do and how he was gonna win that workout.
Wait, do you think he rolled the dice? Do you think he took a risk and rolled the dice, or do you think?
I think he did.
I think
a little more definitely more than the other workouts.
Okay, so hold that thought. We'll I want to hear what you have to say about that, Elijah. Do you think that
it wasn't?
Yeah, hold on. Let me ask my question. My question is this: do you think he rolled the dice on that workout and took a risk, or do you think that was just his authentic self, not under pressure?
Probably the latter. That was his authentic self, not under pressure. I think for a lot of the workouts this week, if he had this much capacity, I think
at the end of the week.
Right. If he had this much capacity, I'd say for a lot of the workouts, like the double under echo bike workout, for example, he was around here. He wasn't quite, I mean, he was fighting for sure. Like, it's kind of hard to, it's kind of hard to explain. Like I said, it's not holding back necessarily. He's still fighting, but I don't think he was pushing to the edge of his capacity, and kind of like we said in the previous episode, going beyond his capacity. I think a lot of the workouts were kind of like that for him this week. But on that last workout, he successfully performed the workout to his capacity and what he can actually do, because I know how fast he can do power snatches on touch and go. I know how fast he can do wall walks, and I know how fast he can rope climb, and I know that I also know that he knows that those movements are good for him, and all he has to do is just flip a switch and just go, and
So why don't
go in with the
you?
confidence of knowing, okay, I can rope climb faster than everybody else.
So why do you think he didn't flip the switch? With, and that's a good term, right? You know, most competitive people, to one degree or another, you know, regardless of what type of competition is, most people kind of know, like when they flip the switch, they're gonna when it's time to go, it's time to go. When they flip the switch, so most people know what that means, what that feels like. Do you think he didn't flip the switch? Like, for example, in the muscle up workout or the double under workout?
Yeah, like, so we're talking about like the last round of the muscle up workout. He definitely could have pushed like the box,
Faster on the box jumps,
box
faster on the
jump.
transitions.
Right, and I don't know if he was just kind of like throttling back because you know, it gets in your head when you start seeing people pass you. It's like, oh, I'm not gonna catch up to them, right? Matt Fraser, he calls it the rubber band effect, where if you're close enough to somebody, but then they kind of get away from you, they break the rubber band, and then suddenly the second place guy isn't worried about catching first place guy, he's not worried about third place guy passing him, right? So a lot of times that happens in competition where you're trying to catch somebody or trying to stay ahead of somebody, the rubber band breaks and then it gets in your head. The thing you have to realize is that the rubber band isn't real, right? It's all just visually in your head. And when you see, like, okay, I'm on the box, this guy's already running back to the muscle ups, right? That gets in your head, right? So the rubber band isn't real, but when you're in the moment, it feels real. So that's a lot of mental and emotional. The mental and emotional part of the workout is watching, knowing when to watch the people next to you. And for some people, it's not watching the people next to you at all. It's just going. A lot of it is every athlete is different, right? I think for him, that kind of got in his head a little bit. But on the last round of that workout, there was like 3 other guys on that box jump overs that he definitely could have passed, and that one kind of slipped away from him. Whether it was because he didn't think he could catch them, or if he wasn't really watching or paying attention. But yeah, anyways.
Okay, breakdown. You feel like Kūlani did roll the dice.
A little bit.
Yeah. So go ahead and share what your thoughts on that.
I
On the
think
last
that,
event.
That was his authentic athlete. That's his capacity. The only reason I think he rolled the dice was just on a technical pacing standpoint. Like, I think he was like, I'm going to go on hot, and there's anytime you go on hot, there's always a chance that you blow up and you crash and burn. So that's the only risk I think he took there, which he still didn't take that risk on the other workouts.
Yeah.
You know, he never went out hot on any other workouts, and I think there were some that he should have went out hot.
Like the thing that he did in the last
workout.
The thing that he did in the last workout, he definitely could have done the echo bike workout.
Or the ring muscle up.
Or-
The ring
and the
muscle up
ring
workout was
muscle-
too similar for the last workout. Like,
Right.
if he did that good on that one, he should have won. And
Yeah. I think he had the potential to win the ring muscle up workout, at least a top 5 score.
yeah, which would have put him in contention for third.
Right. But anyways, So yeah, I mean, that's the difference between that workout, the final workout, and kind of the rest of the week.
Okay, so do you think that Kūlani coming out hot, and here's for everybody listening, here's some additional context is being that Kūlani is the third brother and he's always been behind Elijah and Kael. Kūlani has always had this type of he has always been comfortable behind the pack,
Right.
and he's never been he's never naturally tried to take the lead, and he's also just naturally very conservative in his plan. And I think that what he does is he makes a plan and he executes his plan really, really well. And that's what Kūlani is good at doing. He's good at making a plan, making a great strategy, and he's good at making a plan and executing that exact plan, even if that exact plan puts him in fourth, fifth, or sixth, or seventh place or whatever. So I think he makes a plan, he executes the plan, and as long as he executes the plan, in his eyes, he finds success,
Yes.
right? So do you think that Kūlani, with the final event yesterday, do you think that he proved to himself that he can come out faster and hold that pace and win more events in the future?
Yeah, so
What do-
that mentality is just being a game day competitor, right? And that's something that is learned. And for Kūlani, this is something that him and Dave and us have been talking about for years, actually. This goes back years, where Kūlani has always been too conservative in competition, because that's just the way that he is in training. Because in training, it's training, right? It works. Pace the workout, don't go out too hot. Each round is the exact same splits, and you finish the workout, right? Finish the workout with a decent time. And in training, that works. You take somebody like, I think a really good example is Kael in competition. Kael's very different. Kael in training, he doesn't always like attack with like a competitive mindset, but when he's in competition, he's very, very good at flipping the switch, which is funny because like I said, in training he'll do a workout, he won't put up like a crazy time, but when it's time to go in competition, he does it for the show, right? He does it for the celebration at the end, right? He does it to put on a show. And Kael is very good at when it's time to go, he can go out hot and hold on to and try to hold on to that as best as he can, but he's not afraid of being out front, right? Putting himself in the position to be out front, right?
Okay, so I have a good question for you, especially kind of regarding the way Kūlani methodically comes up with strategies. So I feel like the CrossFit community in general, is very different from your average, let's say, average football player, basketball player, tennis player, whatever it might be. Just because in CrossFit, there's simply not going to be as much live competition opportunity as there will be for an average football season or basketball season or anything.
Yeah.
So there's just not a lot of live competition opportunity. There's a few competitions that you could do. I mean, you could do as much as you wanted if you wanted to travel the country. So in live competition, it's a really, really big difference. What we're really good at, obviously, is we're really good at online qualifiers. We're really good at winning the open or winning the online qualifier or winning the semifinal. Like Kūlani, for example, won the semifinal and came in as the number 1 ranked athlete. So my question to you guys as athletes is, like in Kūlani's case, Kūlani makes a plan, he sticks to the plan, he executes the plan, and even if he finishes 4th place or 5th or 10th place, he's actually okay to one degree or another because that's the plan he made and that's the plan he executed, and whatever the result was, he's okay with that, right? And I first saw this last year in Kalamazoo during the thruster workout because Kūlani looked really, really, really good coming out of that. I thought Kūlani, I was watching Kaeo and Kūlani at the same time, and I thought Kūlani had a great pace. I thought Kūlani could have did better than what he actually finished. And after I talked to him later, he just said, no, that was my finish because that's what I had planned. So my even regardless of the field, right? So this is an interesting question to you guys because part of competition is like, don't worry about yourself, don't worry about everybody else, worry about yourself, and you hear that, and I understand that too. But here's my question. In the heat of the moment, in competition, when you're on pace with your plan and you're executing your plan, but your plan's not enough, right?
You see everybody pass you.
Right. When your plan's not enough, and sometimes your plan is enough because you'll end up with a third or a fourth or a fifth. But when your plan's not enough as a CrossFit athlete, man, what can you do? And we all know what Mike Tyson said. Mike Tyson said, everybody has a plan until you get punched in the mouth, right? So my question to you guys as high-level world-class CrossFit competitors is like, what do you do when you're on pace with your exact plan, but you need to turn it up? I don't know. Like Kaji, you go first. Like, what do you do?
It hurts physically.
So pain cave.
Yeah, well, because like an example is any of the machines, right? Let's say you're echo biking and your plan was to echo bike 450 watts, 75 RPMs, right? You're going at the pace, and then all of a sudden you see hands go up and your judge's hand's not up, and you're like, I have to go faster, right? So your legs are going to hurt more, your arms are going to hurt more, and that right there, it
puts you in a panic,
right? Because it stops your plan, right? Everything that you thought was going to happen is now can't happen, and you have to adapt. And I think there's got to be a plan to train in the future to not have a plan, right? To do some workouts where it's like, don't think about it, adapt on the fly kind of thing. And right, there's the level of CrossFit of adapting on the fly of like new move, adapt on the fly. What about like no pace, adapt on the fly? Figure out your pace, that'll get you there. That'll get you the finish that you need, that'll get you the time that you need or whatever it is, right? Like sometimes it's your...
So when it's gonna hurt. Arms, like echo bike, for example.
So sometimes you can hold it. Sometimes you can go a little faster.
Yeah.
And it's like you're at your pace, and then you realize everybody's hands going up, and then you push a little harder, and it hurts for a little bit. It's like, I don't want to do this, and then you kind of suck it up. It's usually how it goes for me.
Okay, so it's gonna hurt. It's gonna hurt. It's gonna hurt. And that's what's different about the sport of CrossFit is that there's a lot of pain involved in the sport of CrossFit.
Physical pain.
And it's gonna happen most of the time.
Most of it.
Yeah.
You don't. Every CrossFit workout's hurt.
Whereas something like golf doesn't really hurt. Basketball may hurt once in a while. Football hurts. Football hurts, but not all the time. You know what I mean? The football hurts.
In order to win, you have to hurt.
Right. So it's a very.
You don't have to hurt.
Yeah. For a very like soccer's may hurt here and there, but like in the sport of CrossFit, like you're gonna go through extreme pain at some point in time during the competition.
Right.
So my next question was, and then Elijah, you can follow up with my original question. But the next question then would be, well, what happens to CrossFitters? Do they just decide that they don't want to go through that pain, or maybe is it just that the body physically cannot produce that kind of work, that level of work, or what are some of your thoughts on that?
I think it's a mixture of different things. I think it's mental of, like Elijah said earlier, the rubber band effect is you were on a plan and now you see somebody pass you and then it's like, whoa, my plan that I was so confident in now put me behind. That mentally just puts you behind. So I've seen athletes...
So frustration.
Right, I've seen athletes be on their plan and then have people pass them and then they slow from their plan
even. It gets worse.
That was already
it gets worse.
Yeah, that can happen. Sometimes what happens, right, is like you're pushing with your plan, and then it doesn't work, and so you're trying to push really hard, and your body physically can't do it, right? Your plan was your capacity, and
Got it.
That comes from a level of knowing yourself as an athlete really well, right? You gotta you gotta know
performance awareness.
What 550 watts feels like on the bike. You have to know what going unbroken on this move feels like with a high heart rate, and you have to like really know what that's gonna do. And in competition, it's the time to flip the switch where it's like, I know that's gonna hurt. I have to deal with that hurt now, because otherwise I'm not gonna win. I'm not gonna do well. I'm gonna fall behind.
Okay, what's your take on that, Elijah? What do you do when your plan?
Well, this was kind of a lot. But, okay, so.
What do you do when your plan?
What was your first question?
The first question is, most CrossFit athletes are really good at strategizing, rep schemes, time metrics, everything. And my question is, when you're executing your plan, what do you do when your plan's not enough? What do you do when you? What do you do?
Are you sure that was your first question?
Yeah, that's the first question.
What was the second question, though?
My second question is, how do you what exactly happens?
What happens?
Yeah, what exactly? My first question is what do you do? And I brought this up because I've seen this with Kūlani a handful of times. Is he has a plan, he executes his plan delivers a certain result, but in my head, as a father and a coach, I know what he's capable of doing to one degree or another, and I feel like I'm watching him, and I feel like he could have executed, he could have did better. Like he could have got like with that particular thruster workout, I feel like he could have been top 3 or whatever that was. So I'm asking this because what do you do when you find success in executing your plan, but when it's time to when your plan's not enough, you know what I mean? When you see that you are executing your plan, it is successful, but you can see that your plan's going to get you 5th or 6th or 7th place. My question is, what do you do?
Right. So, okay. Okay. So for Kūlani, he's just that type of athlete, right? Where. Which is why going back to kind of like what you said before, that's kind of why he does really well in online workouts, because there's nobody else that is really watching. He's just sticking to his plan. He makes a plan and he sticks to it. So that's why he does really well in online.
It's a great strength of his, for sure.
Right.
Oh yeah,
It's a great
doesn't go into a workout without a plan.
It's a great strength. It's a great strength of his to have a very concise plan, right?
Yeah.
A very accurate plan.
But some people are different. Some athletes go a lot by feel. It kind of just depends. So for Kūlani, when he's in a workout, and I think for him, sometimes it's I don't know. It's a fine line. It's a really fine line, because when he sticks to his plan, that's when he's actually the most relaxed, right? So on the last workout, he had a plan and he stuck to it, right?
Yeah.
That's
Plan was to go crazy.
Plan was to go crazy. Plan was to go stupid, and he went stupid. So that was him sticking to his plan, right? So
he needs to be more aggressive with his planning then.
right. So that's I guess.
I don't think we can stop Kūlani.
So Elijah, what do you do? What do you do when you have a plan and you're executing a plan? What do you do,
What do I do
when you can see that my plan's working great, but it's not enough?
See, I never planned that precise for my plan to not work. I don't plan down to
Most plans.
I don't plan
My
like,
plans always work.
well, because I leave in my plans. I leave intentionally. I leave wiggle room. I don't ever say like, okay, I need to finish this by this timestamp, and then
you need
this.
to stay at a 500 watt
Or
pace.
yeah, exactly. I have to hold this pace, or I have to finish round 5 at this time, or do this unbroken. I actually very rarely have very clear timestamps like that with clear cut instructions.
Okay,
Very rarely. My plan,
so you don't plan as much as Kūlani. So what's
I
happening?
don't plan as much.
So
I plan for wiggle room. So I plan for, okay, if this happens, and I'm starting to get past
contingencies. You have contingencies in place.
Yes,
So
I
if
put
your plan's for 50 watts and it's not working, you plan for that.
right, exactly.
There's always 3 steps back.
Right. So, but it's not as methodical as that. It's more just leaving wiggle room in the plan if it's too exact and it's too precise, you're almost never going to be able to stick to it because in competition, I've never made an exact plan and have it go out exactly the way that I planned it, and that's when I realized, okay, this doesn't work, or at least for me, it doesn't work because even the plan itself might not even work because even if I was here at the exact timestamp, it might have been too fast for that time domain, right? And I might have actually went out too hot, or it was too slow. Right now I'm behind, right? Going too precise with the plan where everything is clear cut and sometimes it's too much pressure to focus on, and I'll leave a little bit of wiggle room. Okay, if the goal is if it's an AMRAP and the goal is to get 10 rounds, right? I'm not gonna do, okay, I gotta finish round 1 by here and round 2 by this time and round 3, because the first round is always gonna be fast no matter what, and all the other rounds are gonna be slow splits. Round 6, 7, 8 are always gonna be slow. No matter what you do, that is part of how your energy works. Like when you have that little shot of adrenaline on the last 90 or last 10%, 90% of the workout through, that last 10%, you're always gonna get a shot of adrenaline. I actually always count on that. That's something that's a part of the plan. I always plan on that last 10% I'm gonna be able to push through hard. But I plan for 60, 70, 80% of the way through, I'm gonna slow down no matter what. You can't plan to not, it's just going to happen. So it kind of goes like this, right? You kind of go out fast, you kind of steady, slight dip around 60, 70, 80% through, 90% way, you get a little shot of adrenaline, you can finish strong, right? So if I were to say my plan, that's usually, that graph is what it looks like. And how are the movements gonna fit into that? How am I gonna get to 10 rounds in this AMRAP? How am I gonna do that? In the moment, that's where the by feel comes in, right? Okay, this is feeling good, I can speed up here. Okay, this is hurting, I gotta slow down here so I can recover, right? For me, mentally, that's the best way to do it. And also not really worrying too much about where everybody else is at, because like I said in the last episode, once you start thinking about other people, once you start thinking of them as a threat, that's when they become a threat, right? You do have to focus on yourself. I think more often than not, you have to just focus on what you're doing. You can't really get caught up in people passing you, even if it seems like, okay, whatever plan I'm on is not gonna get me the placing that I want. At the end of the day, the best you can do is the best you can do. You do have a limited amount of capacity. Sometimes, like we said on the previous episode, there are moments where you can push beyond your physical work capacity and a miracle happens and you're able to go faster than you've ever gone and you're able to push harder than you've ever gone. That there are moments that happens, but that can't be a part of the plan. That you have to realize that you do have a set amount of work capacity in the moment, and you're only going to be able to operate at a certain percentage of that. Hopefully it's 100%. Sometimes it's not.
So in Kūlani's last round yesterday with the finale workout, rope climb, snatches, and rope climb, wall walks, and then snatches. Did Kūlani, did he not see that guy coming up?
I don't think so because
So
Kūlani was his barbell was a little bit in front of it. So like,
Okay,
they all
so-
were in they were both in the final box.
Yeah,
but
so he
Kūlani was like
didn't
this.
he didn't see him, right?
Right.
So if he saw him, so what happened was the guy that was on his tail came up fast, and so Kūlani didn't see him in those final 4 snatches, right?
And
do
so
you-
he went for singles. But still
So-
didn't get credit for his first single.
Yeah. So if Kūlani saw him, then if Kūlani saw him, do you think he would have just did 4 touch and go basically, or?
Yeah, so that's the thing, right? There's a time to when to look left and right for your competition, and there's time not to. I would say in moments like that where it's
You
down.
gotta know.
I mean,
especially when
You don't need to know who's where, but you need to know if someone's on you.
right,
right.
because
a quick
if you're going to
a quick glance to his left would have solved that problem.
Yeah.
right, if you know that you're ahead, then I would say, okay, look down the line and make sure you're ahead, because that's something that I've done in competition where skills chipper 2022, the last part of the workout was the handstand ramp, and I was ahead, but I had to be sure, and I was like, okay, if I fail this ramp, then I have to go back and I'm gonna give up at least 2 spots. And that was where it was most important for me to look around. I was like, okay, I see Caleb over there, I see Jan over there. Okay, Jan's right on my tail. Okay, 3, 2, 1, go. Let's kick up on this handstand. It's a little bit earlier than my shoulders feel ready for, but we're gonna kick up and go. Because I either wait, rest, and he passes me, or I go now and I fail and he passes me, or I go now and I make it and I win, right? So knowing when to look around for your competition is really, really, really important. But knowing not to look around when you start getting in your head and you start getting passed by people, and you need to be focused on moving and not stopping, resting, looking left and right.
what exactly-
That's when it's important not to look at your competition.
Okay, so I'm hearing a lot. I'm hearing a lot about looking around, rubber band effect, and getting in your head. So first question is what exactly does that mean? What happens when you see a bunch of people passing you? Do you just get demoralized? Do you get frustrated? Kadri, what happens to you when you see
a panic. It's
okay, so panic.
Yeah, we said that. It's
So it's panic.
you have a plan. You try to stick to it. You start seeing people passing you. You realize, okay, this isn't good enough. I gotta go faster, and that sends you to a panic because now you don't know what to do, right? Do I stick to it? Do I speed up? If I speed up, am I gonna burn out? Okay, I did speed up and I did burn out. Now what do I do, right?
Okay, so here's my next question then. My next question is, what does it take, or what has to happen for you guys to eliminate panic? How do you eliminate panic, or how do you get comfortable with panic? You know, you guys are more mature athletes at this world-class level. Kadri, you competed alongside Elijah in opens and semifinals and quarterfinals. What do you think it takes? What do you think it takes to eliminate that kind of panic? You know, what kind of maturity does it take? What kind of experience do you think you need? How much more experience do you think you need? Because in my opinion, you're gonna get passed all the time over the course of your career. So what do you need to do to eliminate that panic? Or what do you think you need to do?
I think that answer is different for everybody.
Yeah, Kadri, you go first.
Yeah, I think the
You
answer
do-
is
yeah.
different for everyone. What I've learned is the panic feels involuntary, right? Like you get that feeling in your stomach that when 1 or 2 people pass you and you're already hurting, and it's like kind of don't know what to do. But the second you realize that it's just a response, then you can put that aside and you just go back to what you were doing.
You can shake it off.
Right. Yeah. It's simple as that. Simple, not easy, but that's what you have to do. You have to practice, and you have to practice it, right? Like, you have to know. It's almost like this, like you're chasing, and then all of a sudden, like Elijah said with the rubber band effect. The rubber band isn't real, right? Like it's completely mental. Of like somebody passes you, now you're just trying to stay ahead of this guy. No, somebody passes you, you can still chase them. They're still there for you to chase. And
Let me give you an example.
That's what I like to focus on.
Let me give you an example. I think it was TFX where Jace was smoking that 1 wad.
Handstand walk.
Yes,
Exactly what
Jace
you're
was
talking
smoking that 1 wad. He got to the handstand ramp first.
Right.
And then he failed the handstand ramp like once or twice.
And he saw people pass.
So are you saying that he panicked at that point?
100%.
Oh, that
Okay.
was the panic.
That was-
Okay,
panic response.
so my question is, when you panic like that, you guys watched the same event that I watched Jace, right?
Yeah.
You guys witnessed the same thing. What should Jace have done?
He should have stopped looking down. Right. That's the case where not only was it making it mentally harder for him, but he was chewing up time. The time it took for him to go like this and then turn back, that was time lost.
How many more times on that ramp did he fail?
He felt like 10 of them.
Yeah.
So he went from first place, and then where did he finish?
8th, maybe. Top? No, not even 12.
Yeah.
So is it just or Elijah? Why don't you go ahead and share? What do you do? What do you think you need to do to eliminate panic over time?
Like I said, it's 90% of the time you need to just be really just focused on what you're doing. There's like I said, there's very, very few instances where you actually need to be looking down the field. Kūlani on the final event of that guy sneaking up behind him, that's an example of him. But I think that's like the one time that I can tell you where Kūlani had to actually look down the field left and right.
Mm-hmm.
I would say
There was a lot more where he was looking down when he didn't need to.
Yes.
So do you think
more often than not,
Yeah.
you need to be
Don't-
focused on what you're doing.
Okay, so the only time you really need to look down is when you're in the lead, about to finish, maybe.
Yes. Yeah. Like if you're behind, they're already in front of you. You just go faster, right? Like, and if you're neck and neck with somebody,
Then
you don't have the time to look.
Yeah.
You have to just pick up the bar and go. You have to trust that if you just look forward and go, like it's the same thing of like take bare bones, right? 100-meter sprint. You're running side by side. The second you look here, that's energy wasted, right? Any bit of that, you don't have the time to look. You don't have the time to or energy to spend on turning your head.
Right. I'd say it's very few instances, but when you're ahead and you're very close to winning and you know that you can win and you have the opportunity to kind of like, okay, I can do singles on this last bar, but you need to make sure you can do singles in that last bar. Or just don't.
Always compete if you're in the lead. Always run like somebody's breathing down your neck. No matter what. Because whether you're second heat, first in the heat, right? Like
Because you could be first in the first heat, and there's 3 more heats out.
exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, one example from one of the years past that I competed at, there was an event that was 20 muscle ups and you sprint down the field and then you rest, and then 20 snatches, sprint down the field and you rest, and then 30 cal row, sprint down the field and you rest.
This is actually on the Kumana CrossFit YouTube channel.
Yeah, it's on YouTube.
20, I filmed it, I recorded it, 20 unbroken muscle ups, and then there's the obstacle course. But anyway, go ahead.
Right. So, so that workout, the way it was, there was 3 individual sprints, but they're all accumulated for a total time, right? And I kind of wasn't really thinking about that. So I finished the muscle ups unbroken. I was the only one to do it. I sprint down the field. When I get 20 feet out from the finish line, I look around I'm so ahead that I slow down and I jog through the line. And that extra jog was not smart. I had a 15-second buffer on the entire field, but it could have been a 13-second buffer. But by looking around, I was like, oh, I'll just slow down right now. I can just walk through this line. But it's an accumulative time on that event.
And that's a lot like being in the first heat.
Right. And I lost that event by 1.7 seconds because it was an accumulative time, and I thought I had a big enough buffer that I wouldn't lose that much time on the second 2 sprints, but I did. It was really, really close, 1.7 seconds. But had I sprint through the line, not thinking about, okay, I'm still ahead, I'm just gonna slow down. I should have been thinking, I'm still ahead, I'm gonna stay ahead, I'm gonna sprint through the line anyways, right? So it's like I said, even like you have to look around, but you have to be really smart with it, right?
Yeah.
Because
Here's a good example.
More often than not, you gotta really just focus on what you're doing.
Yeah. Here's a good example. When KO killed the D-ball workout last year, the heavy D-ball workout, he was 100% focused on his tasks.
Yeah,
and he didn't even look around until he was about to cross the finish line.
Yeah,
right.
And then
Yeah.
when he was so focused on that event, so focused on his task, he ran. He sprinted to the finish line, and then he didn't look around until he looked left and right.
The final step.
In the final
final
step.
step.
And then and only then did he realize he won.
Right.
Yep. Then and only then. So that's a great example of focusing on the task
and
at
that's
hand.
focus. That's focus, right? Is where you're not, like, you have to be fast with transitions. You're like, next move, go. Right? I finished that, go.
Yeah.
Go back now. Like that's the self-talk that has to happen, right? You can't be like, where's this guy?
Yeah.
Right? Like.
Yeah. All right, cool.
What
That's an hour. We're at an hour right now, so we can wrap it up. Thanks everybody for getting into the weeds with performance, and it'll be nice to have Kūlani on the podcast after he's kind of processed the entire weekend, competing at a world-class level, of course. Final CrossFit Games for him, finishing 5th in the world in the 16-17 teen division. So now let's take a couple minutes to wrap it up. We got your opinion on the on the programming in the last episode. So if you're listening to this one and you didn't hear the last one, this is episode 5. If you didn't listen to episode 4, it got really fiery at about the 45-minute mark, I think, because these guys were very unhappy with the programming. And the quote of the podcast was KO saying that
CrossFit Games is where dreams go to crash and burn.
True.
So KO felt that the CrossFit teenage division has been babied. KO feels like it's been the teens have been babied these last couple of years, and KO said yes, the CrossFit Games is where your dreams crash and burn.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Go watch and listen.
Yeah.
go
that was a good episode.
go listen to episode 4. Couple questions to finish then would be Eve will be in the CrossFit Games in 2029. Yeah, Eve will be a 14-year-old in the CrossFit Games in 2029. If she plays the cards right, if she wants to, and obviously plays the cards right. That's 4 years. Eve is 10 years old right now. So I have, as a father and coach and fundraiser and fundraising for it, I get a 4-year break.
Yeah.
I get a 4-year break, so I'm happy. I'm happy to have a 4-year break from doing all the fundraising. But for you guys, Elijah turns 21. When do you turn 21, Kadri?
Next month, in a month.
So, okay, September, when's your birthday?
24th.
Okay, so your birthday, so you turn 21, Elijah turns 21 in the fall, Kael turns 19 in the fall, Kūlani turns 18 in the fall.
Back-to-back fall birthday.
So now everyone's in the men's division, and all the rest of the homies, Jace,
Nikki.
Nikki Rogers, Is Nikki same as you guys, turning 21?
He'll be 21 in January.
Okay, so Nikki's turning 21 in January. Caleb McClure
Supposedly.
got married, and
rumors that he's coming back.
rumors that he's coming back. So there's you guys in the gang.
Keegan New.
Keegan
turns 21 in September as well.
So the big question is, how soon do you guys think you guys can get back to the games in the men's division? Like, if you had to, or what would it, I don't know, what would it take? How, a couple, I don't know how many, whatever amount of years of development. I mean, I don't know. Well, Kadri, you go first. What do you think it takes for the 18, 19, 20-year-old, 21-year-old to make it back?
It takes a lot of eating. It takes kind of a genetic luck to develop at the right time, right? Some guys
genetic luck.
Genetic luck. Not like you're destined to be good at CrossFit, but you're destined to develop at earlier.
Speed of development.
Right. So
Speed of development.
Like Justin Medeiros, he didn't develop till he was like 20, 21, 22 to get to the games. Sprague too, yeah. Right? Sprague. And some guys like Tudor developed a little earlier, got there at 19.
Yep. So Ty Jenkins made it back at 19.
Sprague didn't even podium as a teenager.
He never podiumed as a teenager.
Yeah. James Sprague.
That's actually something Kūlani told me. He was like, "Hey, James Sprague never podiumed as a teenager." So looks like he's enthusiastic.
Wow.
He's
so
enthusiastic
James Sprague was the fittest man on earth last year.
And was third place this year.
Was third place this year and never podiumed as a teen.
Never podiumed as a teenager.
Whereas Dallin Pepper podiumed 3 times as a teenager and still hasn't podiumed in the men's division.
He podiumed once in 2024.
Yeah, last year.
He was second.
Yeah.
Last year, here's second.
Yeah.
Okay, Dallin Pepper podiumed second. So.
But James was ahead of him.
Yeah, weird.
Yeah.
Anyway, Elijah, what do you think?
I mean, it's very simple. I mean, it's the recipe to being great at anything. And it's just a lot of consistency and a lot of patience. And those 2 things go a long way. It's not rushing the process and doing a lot of things the right way all the time. Yeah. Not just for a quarter of the year, not just for 3/4 of the year. It's got to be consistency and patience the entire journey, right? All 365 days of the year for multiple years on end, even when it seems like there's not much progress happening. There is. It's just happening slowly. A lot of people overestimate what they can do in a year, but underestimate what they can do in 5 years.
So you guys are committed to patience.
The long game.
You guys are committed to the long game.
Years of not qualifying.
So you guys are okay going years of not qualifying.
But we're gonna fight.
Right. So, but what I'm getting at is what Elijah just said. What you said is you guys are committed to patience. You guys are committed to the long game. You guys are committed to execution. You guys are committed to not trying to do too much too fast, right? Okay. And with that, I would say that anybody in this sport, in your age division, your age bracket, your age category, anybody in this sport that doesn't have the patience, that doesn't have the consistency, or tries to do too much too fast, they're simply not going to last in the sport.
Right.
You know what I mean? I think you nailed it with patience and longevity. Is you got to be committed, you got to be patient, and you got to just wait your turn, kind of deal. You know what I mean? You got to wait. So my next question to close would just be, why? And people come up to you, they ask you, are you going to college? Are you going to do this? Are you going to do that? How much longer are you going to be competing? Elijah, or Kadri, you go first. You're committed to the long, patient, meticulous, methodical process. Why? Of making it back to the games, you never made the teen games, right?
I never made. No, I
okay,
never got.
So you
close, but never.
Yeah, you want to make it to the games in the men's division. You never made it in the teen division, but you are. you are living side by side with these guys, and you're committed to the process of making the CrossFit Games again. Why?
I remember, like, at 17, what chasing that goal did to me, and how much I grew in that 1 year of chasing that. Like, I had trained competitively for years before, but I had always had this plan. I was not trying to qualify when I was 16. I was just like, I just want to get bigger, just trying to like shore things up. And I was like, when I'm 17, I'm going to go for it. And I remember each day what that did to me as a person, and how much better I became as a person and as an athlete of chasing that goal. And then after not making it, and then having that time off, seeing what that did to me, I want to chase it again.
You didn't like that.
You
didn't like that.
Right. I didn't like that at all. And so I wanna reclaim it, and that's what I'm gonna do.
Okay, yeah. Elijah, after all these years, man, the knee injuries, and by the way, ladies and gentlemen listening, we'll do an individual podcast with Kadri to hear his whole story. It's a great story, so we'll do that, and then just an individual podcast of Elijah. There's so much to tell with that. But Elijah, last year you had some tough knee injury issues. What's your why?
I'd say, a lot of a similar sentiment with what Kadri just said. You have to have something that you're actively working towards. If you don't have something in your life that you're pushing yourself for, you're not working towards. I know it kind of sounds very like cliche, but that's what life is all about. If I'm being completely honest, if you don't have something that you're working towards, building towards, and setting goals, that on its own, like that goes a long way, right? And what that does to you as a person, what that does to you on a physical, mental, and spiritual level, it transforms you, right? So that is my why. Always chasing something.
Okay, so it sounds like it's all tied into y'all's purpose.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, that's a wrap. So thank you everybody for listening this far, and we'll be back with some other episodes. We will be back with a few more other episodes before Kūlani gets on, for sure, because he'll need a week or more to process. So that's it for now, and we will talk to you guys in the next show. Aloha.